Hedda Gabler opens at Wolverhampton's Grand Theatre tonight. The National Theatre have brought you here, and I have two of the stars. We have Hedda herself in the shape of Lizzy. Hello.
Hello.
And Adam, tell us about your role.
I play Brack, who is a man in Hedda's life, one of the several men that we encounter of her life.
Because this is very much focusing on Hedda and her experiences, and she doesn't start this in a very good place, does she?
No, she doesn't. She's very unhappily married and also unhappy in her life in general, so it kind of spirals from there, really.
Now, this itself was written, 1891? It was came 40 years after Ibsen started his work, and written in Danish, premiered in Munich. And it's changed.
Done your homework.
Wikipedia's
More than
a
me.
thing. But it has changed a lot to what people are going to see on stage today, isn't it?
Yeah, well, hopefully, yeah. The production, our production, is a version written by Patrick Marber, or adapted by Patrick Marber. More recently, a playwright who people might know from Dealer's Choice, Closer. He also wrote comedy from the early 90s that we all love, The Day Today. He was involved in the development of Alan Partridge, who knew? But he's created this version of Hedda, which sort of takes out a lot of the
things that pin it down to being 19th century.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it changes the time, but not the words, not the language, and certainly not the message.
No, it's been slightly adapted, modernised very slightly, but very subtly, I think. And yeah, the message is still is still the same and still relevant as was then, hopefully.
Now, the setting itself, I've seen the stage. In fact, if I check carefully, I can actually grab a picture of this and just share it with you. Because here's to you two guys in action. So, we're basically looking at an amazing set with a piano and a flat, which is where you are based as part of the storytelling. So how do you use this?
Well, what's so great about it is it's such an open space. It gives you a lot of freedom, and the idea is that it's a loft-style apartment in any city in the world. It could be. We don't have very many entrances or exits. We don't have any really on stage. The other actors all come in from the audience. So the idea is meant to be that this is almost like the inside of Hedda's mind, and as the play goes on, it becomes more stripped back and more claustrophobic for her, but also hopefully for the audience as well.
So the stage really is one of the actors then, by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
It's helping to tell the story more so than just being a set of props. But there are a lot of props in this as well, aren't there?
There's some quite good fun. We've got a couple of guns, as you can see there. There's a bit of drinking that happens. But actually, in terms of furniture and things that one would recognise as being the sort of the trappings of a home environment, we don't have any of that stuff. So the only things that we have on stage are things that are used. That was the concept.
Yeah.
So there is one chair which is used, one sofa which is used. So everything there has a reason to be there. And there's even sort of things that maybe an audience wouldn't be able to see from where they might be sitting. But for example, there's one little cupboard that Berta opens that are specifically for cigarettes, and there's one little cupboard that
I open to put my tissues in. Everything has a very specific job, and nothing is there that isn't used.
So it's quite sort of it's quite high design, and it's probably, I don't know if this is correct or not or true, it's maybe not to be taken completely literally all the time.
No, yeah, quite. I think that's right.
And is this where the artistic directors brought their own stamp on this, do you think?
I don't know.
Oh, I mean, I would say, Jan, the designer, who works really closely with Ivo on all of his work. I think it's something that, and the lighting as well is very. That's a massive part of the show. I think I'd say that's another character too, and the sound. It's all been very intricately designed.
It's very precise.
Yeah.
And sort of for us then as the actors, to play in that sort of space, in as much as we have freedom to do things, there's sort of an element of precision that's required, almost like a dance, like choreo. It's been choreographed ever so slightly, because there are moments that we need to be in that set, in that lighting state, and we need to be in that position. So in that sense, it's quite it's quite detailed, you know.
But this is a kind of a move away from what the National Theatre's taken on tour in the past, so something like One Man, Two Governors.
Yeah.
Very much a big commercial success. This is very much about telling a story, and this is really what the National Theatre does, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think they're really National Theatre Productions are really, that's their plan really, to get theatre that maybe wouldn't normally be seen in the regions out to everywhere. And I think they've been really brave by doing this, because it's not something everyone's going to go, oh yeah, definitely want to see that, but it's by pushing that and giving people the option to see it that hopefully then more people will come.
You're hopefully having that National Theatre tag on it is going to make
Hopefully,
people,
yeah.
this is something I ought to see.
And Adam being in it, obviously,
Well,
that fills
Of
seats.
course, but I mean, I didn't get my face in the poster, does he? I think it's in it. You know, there it is. Look,
Yeah,
it's
all right.
like, see, for us, like, well, I'm not speaking for everybody, but it's sort of like you know, I feel quite proud to have been. You know, and you must feel as well. Come on, like to have been given an opportunity to go out and because it's quite a responsibility, you know.
Yeah.
Because this did such great things in London, you know, like, and we don't really talk about that too much. And
it's quite recent and it's
Yeah.
still quite fresh in people's minds. So yeah, so to take it on you do feel proud and also a little bit scared.
You've got a bit of responsibility.
Yeah.
But equally, I mean, there are members of that cast who are involved in London who have come out on the tour as well.
No, just well, Annabelle, who plays Taya, she was one of the understudies in the original. But apart from that, everybody is a new company. So it did feel like we were starting from scratch with it, and it's in its hours. Yeah.
Taken full ownership, which is
Hopefully.
good. Yes. And we like that. But equally, I mean, Ibsen itself, is his work something that you've dealt with in the past or approached from?
I've never done an Ibsen play before. Have you?
I did An Enemy of the People, but another updated version, updated by a playwright called David Harrower. It was called Public Enemy. We did that years ago. People don't know, but An Enemy of the People, or our version was called Public Enemy, was the inspiration for the story of the film Jaws.
Was it?
Yes.
There you go.
Wow.
Now, that is a stone cold fact, and you can look that up. Yeah,
Good pub quiz fact.
Honest to God, that's the truth. So I'm not too familiar. I've never done Dolsush. I've never even.
No.
I haven't even seen it actually.
I've seen it and I've read it, but I've not done it. No.
But he's one of those playwrights. You know, I think after Shakespeare, he's the most performed playwright in the world.
Well, and parodied or used elsewhere as well. I mean, everything from the fact that there's been an American version of this play which has been rewritten for the stage in the US and set in New York. So it's not unusual to have things done was Bridget Jones involved in some way too as well with some work with Hedda.
Who? Renée Zellweger?
Well, I think they did one of the films themselves as well. So you know, there's different ways people have approached.
It's very iconic, isn't it?
Totally.
Yeah.
Hedda's one of those, you know. It's one of those play titles that people know about, you know, in the same way as people know, will have heard of like Othello or Mackers. You know, people have heard of these names, and Hedda, you know, in and of herself, like she's a famous woman.
And when it comes down to the audience for this, hopefully it'll be the sort of people who want to come and see something different at the theatre, but a good cross section. And the National Theatre are pushing to get as many younger patrons in as well for this too, aren't they?
They are, yeah. They're offering this £5 for under 26 deal, which is brilliant, and we've had a really good response from young people actually. So there's people who are doing it as their set text at school that have never seen it and are seeing it in this very different way. And then I think there were Ibsen fans who are coming and hopefully, even though it's probably very different from how they've seen it, still enjoying it and seeing that the essence of the real text is still there.
And I think when you're adapting something like that is the important part, isn't it? So you don't lose what matters.
Exactly, don't mess around with it too much.
But still make it an accessible setting, and by the sounds of things, that's exactly what you have here.
Yeah, hopefully, I think so.
In terms of accessibility, regardless of the design or the way it's written, what it is, it's just like a story about some people, do you know? In the same way as like a word-for-word translation from Ibsen's original text would just be a story about this woman. So all the other stuff aside, it's just like, if you want to come and see a brilliant story about a brilliant woman, then you come and see it. And then hopefully if you have any preconceived ideas of what it should be or what you think it might be or what Ibsen it usually is, then you can kind of like cast them off because what you're about to see might be different, but it's totally relevant and it totally counts. I mean, it's Ibsen that says it on there, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's getting great star reviews, as we can see from here as well. And that with the importance of the storyline. We were chatting last week, and we were talking about how this story needs to be told even more so probably in this day and age than it was when it was highlighting Hedda's both plight, her strength, and the things which were working against her, stopping her being who she should be. Yeah,
we were saying, weren't we, that things have obviously come on a long way, but it highlights how much further there is before women feel completely equal. And our relationship in particular is one that people have spoken a lot about, our scenes, I guess, being very relevant to a lot of what's going on in the media at the moment. So I don't think it feels dated at all, but I don't think his writing in its normal, before Patrick Marber adapted it, that feels alarmingly modern as well, actually. Yeah.
Well, it is on stage right the way through until Saturday here at Wolverhampton's Grand Theatre. 01902 429212, the box office number. Make sure you're using that number if you want to get your tickets for the younger members of the audience, age 16 through to 25. And you can also go online at grandtheatre.co.uk and find out more and book your tickets that way too. But for now, Adam and Lizzy, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
£5?
Yeah, I think there's a code, isn't there? Is it like Ibsen 5?
Ibsen 5.
Ibsen 5 is the code.
Use that if you're booking online, simple as that. But again, have a great time, break a leg, and we look forward to seeing you on stage.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us. Thank you.